Just a note before we get started, a reminder to be sure that you are subscribed to either this audio podcast or the email newsletter, or both, to make sure you don't miss out in the next couple of weeks on the opportunity to get Ray's next book, Up from Hanging Dog, for $0. And now, on with Depression Baby. Depression Baby. Stories about growing up in Appalachia and other things, too. With my dad, Ray B. Rogers.
On August 16th, 1929, I came into this world kicking and screaming. I reckon that made me a Depression Baby.
Depression Baby is a World Songs media production. Brought to you by Depression Baby the book, available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover, and now audiobook at raybrogers.com.
Thumbing. Over the years, how young people travel from one place to another has changed tremendously. My dad, Frank Rogers, went for a ride, not in a BMW or an SUV, but on horseback with his friends. They traveled from Crabtree Community all the way to Iron Duff. This was a significant journey, for unknown to Dad, a young lady saddled up her beloved horse named Dan for a ride with her girlfriends. Dad was quite taken with the auburn-haired girl that he met, and he courted her and she became his bride, and eventually the mother of his 6 children. As we fast forward from the 20s to the 40s, high school and college boys had begun hitchhiking rides. Owning or having custody of a car while one was in school was rare in those days. However, we didn't call it hitchhiking, we called it thumbing a ride, because we did just that. We stuck out our thumb, pointed in the direction we wanted to go, and waited for some kind person to give us a ride. Thumbing was an art as well as an adventure. One should always dress neatly and maybe try to look like a preppy college boy. Maybe a small bag by your side would be acceptable, but never a lot of luggage. Thumbing with one friend or alone worked very well, but with 2 friends, one decreased the odds of catching a ride tremendously. I once tried to hitchhike from a North Carolina beach with 2 friends to my home in western North Carolina, about 350 or 400 miles. This was a folly only young boys would attempt. We became stranded in Gastonia, North Carolina, which is near Charlotte, and about 150 miles short of our destination. We had made the mistake of staying one day too long at the beach and had spent all of our money. We had survived the day on peanut butter crackers and Cokes and had no money for a motel, and it was getting dark. Nobody would pick us up. Then it came to me. I remembered that my Aunt Esther lived in Gastonia. We did have a dime for a payphone call to her. Luck was with us, and Uncle Steve came over to pick us up in a few minutes. The Stows were great hosts, and I even got to visit my cousins, Roger and June. We had a great evening, and this became a cherished memory. Also, I'm sure that Aunt Esther gave us enough money to finish our thumbing trip to Waynesville. Of the thousands of miles that I thumbed, I met a lot of very kind and interesting people. However, one guy picked me up who had been drinking too much. He even offered me a drink. I graciously declined and told him that my destination was the next crossroad, and he let me out. Another misguided soul began verbal overtures that were not musical in nature. He also found that my destination was at the next corner. Thumbing was basically a boy thing, but during the hippie era, some adventurous girls started hitchhiking, some with really bad results. Today, regardless of gender, thumbing a ride is not a good idea. I suppose that we should just collectively thumb our noses at the concept.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Depression Baby. And if you did, my dad has one important request. If this podcast brought a little smile to your day, would you please consider right now subscribing for free to the podcast and kindly leaving a nice 5-star rating and review on iTunes. You can make the difference in getting Depression Baby in front of a wider audience and help preserve this disappearing legacy. And we'll be letting you know right here and on the email list how you can get Ray's next book, Up From Hanging Dog, for $0. Thanks to our audio and musical contributors, including our friend Lobo Loco. You can find out more about him and all the rest of the music and audio in the show notes at, you guessed it, raybyrogers.com. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on Depression Baby.